everyone, it's Stephanie here with a video for My Favorite Things. In today's video, we are going to be recreating two cards that were designed by design team member Francine using products from the new June 2017 release. She created two beautiful rainbow cards using the new Color Drop stamp set and Color Drop Stacks Dynamics. And we're going to recreate both of those cards in today's video using the same design, but we are going to mix up the color palette a little bit just to kind of show a different variation in this card design. So we're going to start off with this stamped card first. So I have a white card base that measures 4 1/4 inches square, and I'm just using my T-square ruler to find the center area of this card base. And this is just going to allow us to easier line up our stamps to kind of make sure everything is centered on the card. I'm using my Misty stamping tool to do all of the stamping so that I can double stamp all of these color drops and get a really nice solid impression every time. So I'm starting with blue raspberry, and because this is a square card, I'm able to kind of use the stamp in the same position more than once and just rotate the paper. So for the first 4 stamped images, I didn't have to move the stamp at all. I simply rotated the paper and did blue raspberry in one direction and summer splash in another. I then took the stamp off and positioned it onto the panel where I wanted it to stamp. And now I'm going to use that to stamp limelight ink, and then I'm also going to be able to stamp that in both directions. I repositioned it once again, and now I'm going to do the cement gray inking, so I'm adding the gray detail into the flower image there. And I'm just going to continue doing this until I have the entire image stamped. Now I love the overlap effect that you get when you do the stamping. Because this is dye ink and it's a little bit more translucent, you're able to see through the different areas and kind of see where all of these color drops are overlapping, and I think it looks so neat when it's finished. So the last color I'm adding is the Grout Gray, which is a really light ink. So I'm stamping this one 3 times just to really make sure that I get that nice solid color. And then once I have that done, I have this really cool flower pattern in this aqua green and gray color palette. I just think it looks so cool, and this would work really well for a more masculine theme card with this color palette. So that's why I wanted to kind of mix it up and show you different ways that you could do the stamping with different colors. Now to add the sentiment, I'm using the Big Thanks Dynamics die set, and what I'm doing is I die cut it out of a piece of black cardstock, and then I positioned that negative piece directly over my card. I centered it up because I'm not going to be using the S, so I centered up the word thank over top of that flower image, and then I'm just using the negative space to help me line up all of those letters so that they're perfectly centered and perfectly straight on the finished design. So I'm just using liquid adhesive to add them on there, and then I'm going to lift off the negative piece when I have them all adhered down. Now I have that word perfectly centered into that card base. Now to complete the sentiment, we're going to do a little bit of stamping. So I have the Essential Sentiment stamp set, and I'm just going to pick out any sentiment that has the word you in it. All I want to do is use that single word. So I'm going to make sure that when I ink it up, I'm only adding ink to that little word on its own. And I'm using Versamark ink to do the stamping so that I can heat emboss this in white. Once I have it fully heat embossed, I'm just going to trim it down, and then I'm going to adhere it to the center area of the A with some foam adhesive for a little bit of dimension. And then that is going to complete the stamped card version, and we have this really cool thank you design. Now to move on to the die cut version, we're going to use the Color Drop Stacks Dynamics dies. These stacks are perfectly sized the same as the stamp set, so they're not meant to cut out the Color Drop stamped images. They're just meant to coordinate and be able to mix and match with that stamp set. So for this card here, we're going to do complete die cutting. We're going to do a bunch of the color drops in the same size here, so you can see that I have them all cut out. And rather than use that rainbow palette, I went ahead and used grays once again, but this time instead of having the green and blue option, I added some pink detail into this one. So what I'm doing is I'm taking all of these drops and I'm adding them onto this white card base, which is also measuring 4 1/4 inches square. And I'm using foam adhesive to add all of these on for some fun dimension. Now I'm just following the exact same pattern that Francine used on her card, and I'm making sure for the 2 color drops that kind of go off the edge of the card on both the right and left side that I just use my scissors and cut the excess off so that you just have it nice and flush with the side of the card. And then I'm just going to carry on until I have all of these drops completely adhered, and then we can go ahead and stamp our sentiment onto the card. The Boss Babe stamp set has some really fun, unique sentiments, and I really love the one that Francine chose to use on her card, which is Design a Life You Love. I think it pairs really nicely with this geometric design that we've created on the card. So I stamped that there in black licorice dye ink, and then I'm going to add a little heart from the Blueprints Tag Builder 6 Dynamics to the top of the I in the word design, just for a little bit more color and added detail. And then that's going to finish our second card. So now we have 2 cards here. We've used the exact same designs that Francine provided, so thank you to her for these really fun card designs. But we've changed up the color a tiny bit just to show a different variation. I really hope you enjoyed today's video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.